Welcome to one of the environmental learning module labs. What we'll be talking about today is a system that will do remote sensing, and we'll talk about how to create an electronic camera shutter trigger for a remote sensing platform. So the concepts that will be covered in this module include circuit concepts. We'll be looking at circuits that use resistors, capacitors. We'll also be studying AC signals, AC waveforms. We'll look at things like frequency, period, and duty cycle. And the systems concepts that we'll touch upon will be the operation of a system, so this remote sensing system in general, what's the framework in which this camera trigger will work in. We'll talk about design constraints that are specific to this system, such as size, weight, and power. We'll talk about special considerations that we have to give to the system due to its operating environment as well. So this is an overview of what we will be covering in the upcoming videos as well as the lab exercise. So I'm going to be talking about a remote sensing platform that's called a BalloonSat. I'll be talking about an IC device called the 555 timer that we'll be using to implement a automatic camera shutter trigger. And then, of course, during each of these topics, we'll touch on the circuits and systems concepts. We'll also be doing some pre-lab exercises to get you familiar with the circuit that you'll be looking at. Then we will, of course, have a laboratory exercise that we'll talk about, and you'll get to play around with making your own circuit for this camera shutter trigger. There will be questions that you need to answer. You can do it as part of the lab or as a post-laboratory exercise, and supporting materials if you to read more onto what you're doing, as well as if you want to explore this subject further by yourself. The things that you should be learning as a result of this, you should learn the voltage response of a capacitor. You'll see a practical application of a circuit that uses a capacitor. Since we're talking about BalloonSats, which stands for balloon satellites, we also learn a little bit about satellite mission planning and mission design, and some of the constraints that are particular to satellites and harsh operating environments.